Welcome to BROADish, guys. Very exciting today. We have something a little different. If you notice, one of us is not abroad.
Woo!
We have Felicia Madison, Hollie Harper, Jocelyn Chia. Jocelyn, do you want to introduce our special guest today?
Absolutely, everyone. I'm so excited. My good friend Jason Leong here, actually Dr. Jason Leong, as our very special. He's all the way from Malaysia. We have worked together on Comedy Central Asia. He has his own Netflix special. It's amazing. Had me dying with laughter. So everyone, welcome Dr. Jason Leong. Welcome, Jason. Thanks for being here.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for being here. It's actually 6 a.m. right here in Malaysia. So I'm saying that so that you guys know how much I love Jocelyn. 6 a.m. is way too early for a comedian to be awake. So
it's 6 a.m. here too. So that's how much I love me.
We like here at BROADish to get right into the topic. So our first topic, is it better to be a woman, man or woman? That's why we have Jason. We have a lot of male-female things. So we figured not to be too skewed, we would have a male to give his point of view. Jocelyn put it up on her Facebook and I shared it. And the question was, what men think it's better to be a woman? And we got no responses.
Yeah, it's just obvious that the answer is so much better to be a man. I mean, there is the periods we have to deal with every month, pregnancy, the vulnerability to rape, the earning of less money, the obligation to be doing the housework and raising the kids rather than pursuing our dreams. And I had a list of 100 things, but now I'm blanking. But yes, it's
everything. I mean, the medical world is
look good is a big one. Like we have to do so much dieting, the anorexia.
Our haircuts cost more. Our haircuts cost more. You're right.
Right, cleaning our blouses cost more. I mean, the whole show could be on how it sucks being a woman.
It's infinitely better to be a man. Let's be real. Thousands of years of laws around the world that are slanted towards men. Everything in medicine has been slanted towards men. We need movements. We're pink and stuff from women when it comes the medical field. So it is infinitely easier to be a man. But still though, I just love the fact that I have these and all that. That just makes me happy.
It might be better to be a woman than a white man.
What?
Oh, we gonna go there.
Well, nowadays,
we gonna go there.
It's not great to be a white male anymore.
Oh, please. This is this is BS. And white men are white men. Y'all, white men are still the most CEOs. White men are still the most in government. White men still pound for pound make more money. They're just getting a little bit spanked. So equality, that quote, when you're so used to having privilege, equality feels like oppression. We haven't even reached equality. And they're like, oh my God, we're suffering. It's nah, man, y'all got taken down half a peg out of 10 pegs. Half.
And you think a white man would like to be spanked?
They do, actually.
Ooh, shut up. I know they like to be domed. Okay, I guess spanking is part of doming them.
They like abuse.
So many white men to dom them. It's weird. I think they have this Asian dominatrix fantasy, but we're going off topic. Dr. Jason.
They do. They're all just hoping Lucy Lou's gonna come around and whoop their ass. That's all they want. They just want Lucy Liu to whoop their ass. I've seen the movies. Come on now.
True that.
From my perspective, definitely, for all those of you who are still wondering, yes, it is infinitely better being a man than a woman. And the thing is, I've always thought that I'm all for equality. But when I had a child, I had a daughter 15 months ago, and you become really acutely aware that you're bringing up a girl in a world where it's definitely skewed towards more benefits for being men. But there are some benefits towards being a woman. From in an Asian culture, Asian society, I think there is that leniency a little bit towards women, where there's a lot of pressure on the man to be the breadwinner. Although technically, both men and women can be the breadwinners, but there's a lot of pressure on the man to be the breadwinner, as opposed to the woman being the breadwinner. So the women can get away with not earning or not being the breadwinner in the family. Do you feel that way?
Well, okay, just to counter that, yes, that is
Mm.
100% true. There is more pressure, at least in Asian society, I think in Western society too, to be the breadwinner. But on the flip side, yes, women grow up and we say, oh, if you're not very smart, you're not very good in studies, you can always marry a rich guy, always marry a rich guy. What do you need to marry a rich guy? Good looks. So then the pressure becomes on looking good. And so you get all the dieting and anorexia and bulimia and the
Exactly.
insecurities and the plastic surgery. So that pressure on men has a reverse pressure on women. So I can't say one is better than the other. I think, in fact, the pressure on men is better because it makes you a richer, more successful person. And then you can get all the beautiful women you want. All being a beautiful woman does is get you like one dude who gives a shit.
And to add to that, Jocelyn, now we live in a world where, women, yeah, if you want to like find housing 100 years ago, you had to get married. Women got married just to find homes. You know what I mean? But like now, I mean, you don't have to do that, but it's like we live in this world now where, I mean, I remember when I had my daughter 14 years ago. I have two kids. People were like, when are you going to get back to work? So now there's this expectation of women to do it all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no expectation for men to do it all. No one's like, he does it all. Like, people only say that to women.
They don't. That's what's so weird. They expect us to do it all, but men don't do it all. So,
Yeah.
I could go both ways. Having raised kids and stayed home, it was a privilege. It was amazing. But then they grow up and they leave the house, and you think to yourself, "Oh my God, what did I give my career up for?"
Yeah.
And it used to be one privilege. Women used to have one privilege, which is men were expected to pay on dates. And that lasted for a while, even after women started working. But it's kind of dwindling now. Now there are guys who think, oh, you guys we should be able to go Dutch. So even that privilege is disappearing.
If you let it. I'm sorry. I said like last week, I've been married for such a long time, but if you ask me out, you're paying. Like, no.
Yeah, honey, 14 years ago, sure, that was the norm.
Okay, but you really paying when dudes ask you out? You're paying, Jocelyn? Really?
I mean, definitely not on the first date, but then the second date onwards, there are definitely some dudes who are like, yeah, now it's your turn.
Well, when we're being paid equal amounts, I'll pay.
Yeah, I would pay 73 cents to the dollar.
So
I would pay three quarters. I pay three quarters.
Yeah, exactly. They should pay 73% of the meal.
There you go. There you go.
I think one of you mentioned about how the men are being lazy. Some men nowadays are being lazy and let the women do all the work and everything. I think in the Philippines, and this is coming from my Pinoy friends, in the Philippines, the male population, generally speaking, they are very comfortable with the idea of they stay at home whilst their women go out and oftentimes out of the country to work as domestic helpers, as maids in Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, Taiwan, as far as Dubai. And the females would work, and the females would send money back to their families in the Philippines, and their husbands just take the money and stay at home. And there's a whole generational shift towards that idea of thinking. So it's quite bad.
Well, you know what? Staying home is work. You know what I mean? I stayed home with both my kids, and it was work. It was work. I could not wait for preschool to kick in. I was like 2.5. Come on, 2.5. You know what I mean? So, and then in some places it doesn't even start till 4 or 5. So like those men who were staying at home, that's real work.
Yeah.
That's real work.
I have a friend who's a partner in a law firm, and it's the top law firm in Europe. And he said that, and his wife stays at home. He goes, her job is, oh my God, of course, way harder than mine. Like being a law firm partner at a top law firm was easier than to stay at home with 2 kids.
Yeah, because in a law firm, you don't have somebody knocking on the door saying, read me. When you're trying to take a poop and someone knocking on the door saying, read me a story, mama. What are you doing in there? Yeah. They can take a crap alone. People at a law firm.
That was the one good thing about the pandemic. Mothers that worked finally realized that parenting was hard.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a couple moms be like, damn, this shit is hard. I'm like,
let's do something about that. The one benefit I will say to being a woman is we live longer.
That is true, because we make smart choices.
To live longer when you're underprivileged.
I do.
Longer just to
I do. I want to live long. Well, do women live longer just because we make better decisions?
I don't know. I always have that conversation with my husband. He says he never wants to retire because once you stop working, you die. And I'm like, well, but women haven't worked and we live longer lives. So
you know what? Those men retire, they got to parlay into like a real hobby, another project, something else. They can't just.
Yeah, my dad's now the maid. We got rid of our maid, and now my dad's the maid.
I'm sure he loves that, Jocelyn.
There's a fun little tidbit about in the medical literature where it's better to be a woman because women have higher pain tolerance than men, much higher, way higher. And there is one problem though, that women tend to be more stoic when they have health issues, right? And for example, like if a man has, say, chest pains, immediately he's going to go to see a doctor because, well, he's going to get a heart attack, right? But women, if they have chest pains or some other kind of pains, they tend to keep it longer and stay off seeing a doctor for way longer because they have a high pain tolerance. They'll tough it out even more. And I've had friends who tell me that, they'll have female patients who are like, doctor, I've had a stomach pain for like a week, and then they do an ECG. It's like she's having a full-blown heart attack right now.
Both men and women have a high tolerance for pain. And that's why women have more than one child and men have more than one wife.
You're like shaky green, but you are. Felicia,
okay, we're gonna move on, guys. We have to move on to our next topic, which is sort of related, is marriage. Till death do us part. As there was a joke about, is that really the only way out? I feel like less and less people are getting married. What do you guys think about marriage and the marriage vows? And especially now in the pandemic, I find like a lot of people are getting divorced. It's like it said, for better or for worse, not 24/7.
Yeah, but interesting thing.
Nobody said nothing about 24/7. That's funny. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm the wrong person to ask. I've been married for 22 years and it's been good. Like it really has. Like I married my best friend and it's crazy because we go, we'll be like mad at each other over something, but nothing ever gets really bad. I feel like the marriage rate has gotten lower and lower because I feel like people don't know how to treat each other. Like I truly believe that people don't know how to be friends with each other. People are too quick to be argumentative. I feel like everybody wants to win. And I feel like the less married couples you have raising children, the less you have children going out in the world knowing how to be in a married couple. So I think it just is a cycle that just chops its way down. And there's nothing wrong with being single. I mean, if you're happy, to me, the goal is to be happy. If you're happy single, be single. If you're happy married, be married. But if you're going to get married, you got to find a way to be a partner. And I think a lot of people don't know how to be a partner.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any tips then? I mean, I'm the only single one. Like one thing here doesn't belong together. I'm the only.
I think the key is, it depends on the situation. If you're a working woman or a stay-at-home mom. But I think the important thing is kind of what Hollie was saying, was to appreciate each other's roles. If you're a stay-at-home mom, it's a tough job. And as like husbands, I feel like when the mom's home and she's tired and not in the mood, that's when they sort of their eyes start straying a little bit. But you need a man that says, you know what, this is a sacrifice I have to make. This is a hard time of life. And if it's a working mom, they have to pitch in. There's a lot of work to be done and there's compromise, and it's a roller coaster. It's not wedded bliss. It's just not. It's hard. You change, you adapt, you give in to each other, you have your ups and your downs. Mm-hmm. I think we live in a world that everything's like immediate gratification, and if something goes wrong, it's like out.
Yeah, like everyone's like, I can't do this. I just can't do this. But then they'll be single and be complaining there's no men. And it's like, what do you, so I mean, to me, my advice, honestly, and I tell anybody, you play for the team. You play for the team. And what the team needs right now may not be what the team needs 5 years from now. Whatever the team needs, y'all got to get down and suss it out. Maybe on paper, you just talk like, what do we need to do to be happy? Like, what do we need to do to get this house? What do we need to do for this baby? What do we need to do? And it's about the team. And you pitch in for the team. That's what I think. And I think a lot of people are just like, I can't do this. I can't do that.
It sounds like you say we more often than I. That's the secret to staying married.
Oh, that's nice. For me, I feel what Hollie is saying, because I've been married for like 9 years. So yes, it's been good. It's been great. No major problems whatsoever. But I'm 50-50. You know, I think it's not necessary that you gotta get married. You know, I think I have a lot of friends who are happy being married, but I also know a lot of people who are happy being unmarried. You know, and for some people, being unmarried is freedom for them. The problem with people who get married is like they really want the wedding. They don't really want the marriage. You know what
Sounds
I mean?
like the woman, right? Not really the guy.
Well, I think both, because now the wedding Instagram is like a social status. You know, like they spend so much on the pre-wedding photography to show people that they're going to get married. You know, they want to show the wedding, and they're just not prepared. So I think some people are better suited not being married.
Fairy tales end at happily ever after. Like that's it. The struggle is all right before the wedding, and then wedding, and then end of story, and they think it's just happily ever after. So we never look at fairy tales that there's going to be ups and downs. It's now it's a roller coaster, and now we have to go we instead of I.
I equate marriage to buying a car. You know, my husband will not buy a new car till his car dies, so I'm good.
Oh my God.
But you know, some men, their car starts breaking down a little bit, and they get a new one thinking that won't break down either. I mean, it's a car; it's gonna break down. You know, you get it. You have to, if it starts not working properly, you got to give it a little TLC and work with it and make it work until it dies.
That's so great, Felicia, because that metaphor is so accurate. Because recently I'm experiencing some midlife crisis. I'm 36, and I told my wife I want to buy a new car.
That's so cute.
And I told my wife I want to buy a new car, like a BMW or whatever. And then my wife was like, "What's wrong with your What's wrong with your old car now? It's working fine. It's got good mileage. It's value for money. You don't deserve a new car. And all that money spent on a new car, you should be saving up for our daughter's education." So it's like, yeah. The argument is gone.
Yeah, well, the flip side to that is I said to my husband, you know, like everyone says, "Oh, your husband will never leave you. He loves you." And I'm like, "Yeah, but there's like, it's like a car. I love my car, my Lexus, but there's a brand new model just like me out there, so why not upgrade?"
Well, I just never forget one of the truest things I ever heard was I heard my husband say this, and then I heard a friend of mine at the playground. I said, you know, when your kids are young, you like really, were you, Felicia, when your kids, were you, Jason, you're like real part of a playground where it's like all the parents converge all the time. But one of the dads at the playground, he was just like, "Look, I can't divorce Trisha because I'm not learning a new wife. I'm not learning all her things, her weird fears, her messed up family. You know, she has to wear the left sock to bed. I'm not learning all these new things with a new woman. You know, and my husband's been the same way. Like I never forget, my husband was like, "I'm not cheating because I'm cheap." You know what I mean? Like, I'm not spending that money on some other woman.
Well, my husband will never divorce me because he couldn't bear to part with half his money.
There you go.
But Felicia, you can be a very good test on whether a guy's a keeper or not. Look, not every guy has a car to do this test with, especially in New York City. But if you're the kind that upgrades your phone every single fucking year, then I know you're not a keeper. iPhone 10, ooh. iPhone X instead. Wow, fuck that. I'm out.
I upgrade my phone every year.
Oh, you're not a keeper.
Okay, here's another marriage question. Would you marry or date a man who makes less money than you, Jocelyn?
I mean, I make $20 a month, so no.
I guess it depends on how much money you make. Yeah. Like if you make like a cajillion dollars, like if you're like one of these women, like, you know, you always see those women who like win an Oscar and all of a sudden they get divorced, like within like 2 years. They call it the Oscar curse. All these women, what happened? All these one of the babies got up in the mix with Jason. His wife called him, "What the hell happened to Jason?"
He heard about making more money than your wife and he left.
He ran out and got another job. He did. We mentioned money, and Jason ran out and got another job. Is that what happened, Jason? And you were like, God damn it, I knew I was supposed to be somewhere.
I missed the last minute. What do y'all say?
We just said how you disappeared when we started talking about your wife making more money than you.
No.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, okay, like the best actress or the best supporting actress. If you look at it, so many of these women have gotten divorced after they've gotten that Oscar. They call it the Oscar curse on your marriage, and it's like a lot of people have this idea that once you are this successful, a lot of men that you're married to cannot handle it. I don't have that problem. I haven't won shit. You know what I mean? So like, I don't have that problem, but I do wonder what it's like when it's that disjointed and public.
When I was younger, 20, 21, I had this irrationality that I can never let my wife make more than me, because we were both doctors, so we know each other's salary, right? And 10 years on, I feel that I can't wait for my wife to make more than me. An older man's wisdom has seeped in. Please, come on, anytime now, just make more money than me, because it'll take pressure off me. But I think there's a lot of male ego will not allow men to be in the mindset of being in a relationship with a woman who makes more than them. I know a few relationships who just broke down simply because of that dynamic, that shift in dynamic.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and also if the wife makes more and someone has to stay home with the kids, like,
I've seen that. I've seen where the wife has made so much more and the husband stayed home and they're still together.
What about those couples where both are working and the woman makes so much more that she can hire help to stay at home to look after the children? Like, so no one's at home, but both are working. Is that okay?
Yeah.
When I was young, my parents were like that. They were both working, so I just stayed at home. And instead of love, they gave me toys. So I always thought love equaled toys. That's why the first time I wanted to tell my boyfriend I loved him, instead of saying I love you, I gave him my vibrator.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting concept of as a stay-at-home mom, I always wonder how easily we're replaced. And the quality of person you're hiring out. Like, I think getting back to what we were talking about, COVID, we need better childcare. If we're going to go out and work, and we're both going to be working, so that our kids don't grow up giving their boyfriends vibrators.
Well, I mean, childcare is real, and it's like you were a stay-at-home mom, and I was a stay-at-home mom. But you know what? I was a work-from-home mom. I always call myself a stay-at-home, but I worked from home. Like, I did all my writing, everything, and then I did rehearsals, teaching, everything at night. But I was still picking them up from preschool. Pregnant with one kid, pick another kid up from like pre-K, and it was really hard. But I just never forget. There was a woman that I knew. She made a lot of money, and her husband got fired, and she was like, "Look, take a year off. Find yourself, switch gears," but they had kids, and she hired a nanny. And I asked her why. We're good enough friends, and she was like, "Well, I don't want to like emasculate him, and he take care of the kids." And I was like, "But you would have done that."
Right.
We're not really that close of friends anymore, but like, whatever. I'm just being like, "But you would have done, like, it's good enough for you, but it's bad for your husband." And it was just weird, because it was like, why is this masculinity caught up in not wiping asses? You know what I mean? Like, because that's all it is. That's all it is. People, just little people throwing up on you, breaking shit, and wiping asses, and taking them to places so they feel cultured.
Yeah.
Well, I think men are better qualified to take care of the kids too, because we get so emotional and they're so rational.
Oh, I've seen some great stay-at-home dads.
Yeah,
I've seen some great stay-at-home dads in my day.
Hollie, I think your friend who she said that she didn't want to emasculate him. I think I have to say, like, if I was in that position, I would really appreciate that, because this whole, like you say, we all have, the male ego is so fragile that I think she was such a gem to have that foresight. That's why women are awesome, to have that. No, she's making more. She's taking the time and energy to not break down that ego, because when the guy has lost his job, man, that's almost rock bottom, you know. And I think his wife really saved him from rock bottom. Man, that's awesome. And I think, you know what, my wife would do the same. I think.
I think that's very interesting. It's true. The male ego is very fragile, which is why when we get overwhelmed and we can't, pet his ego, that's when everything falls apart. I personally, just to answer the question, I needed to marry a man not so much that made more money than me or was successful. I needed to marry someone that I respected and had because he had ambition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. My dad was he's still alive. My dad is my dad was the first Black principal of his high school. Do you know what I mean? And then the first Black principal of the next high school in Atlantic City High School, New Jersey. Like, I hold my dad in very high regard. And in our small town we grew up in, they'd be like, that's one of the Harper girls. You know what I mean? I'd be like,
wow.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? So it's like, when looking for a husband, he didn't have to make a lot of money. My husband, he made a nice salary, but I had to marry someone that I could look up to, that I could be like, this is my husband. I couldn't just marry Joe Schmo. I couldn't.
Right.
Because my dad set that bar.
Okay, well, here's our last topic, guys. So, in terms of picking your partner, money, not money, better, worse, stay at home. I mean, what about just choosing right? And here is a little bit of a conversation on the Ted Bundy syndrome, where he, he dated a girl and then
he didn't date these women.
Well, he kept killing the people that looked like
these
him.
Were not dates. These were not dates.
Well, wasn't the first? Weren't they all after the woman that he dated, and then he started killing them?
Girl, he gave them a ride. He was like, "I'll give you a ride."
But didn't he pick this particular type of person based upon?
He always had the girls, the hair parted down the middle. Well, they're all white, and they all had hair parted down the middle. And they all had a lot of them had a similar body type. So
I was a Ted, but thank God I have a side part, right? That's why I'm still alive.
But girl, you ain't getting in nobody's goddamn car. First of all, I never forget when this whole thing, because I became an actress and a comedian, but I really wanted to be a criminologist. And I was a teenager that really studied Ted Bundy hard. That's Joanne Hawkins. And I used to know their names. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying that there are people that really have a type. They really have a hardcore type. Ted Bundy had a murder type, but it's you see that there's people who date the same. Have you ever seen somebody with a woman or a new man and you think it's the old one? And you're holy shit, that's just they look exactly the same.
There's a theory that people go for people who look like them. So if your looks are this way, then you're going to go for people who look kind of like you.
Well, Jocelyn, that's absolutely not true for you and me, right? You like, right? I mean, I like, so in Malaysia, there's a lot of Indian people. So I like Indian girls.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then Jocelyn, you don't like Asian guys, right?
I totally like Asian guys.
You just threw her ass out there.
I don't remember.
You just threw it. You're like, whoa. Catch it, Jocelyn.
I thought your type was the white surgeon with a facial mask on, right? Wasn't that your type, Jocelyn?
I think that's one of my types.
Wow.
I'm not Ted Bundy.
But is there some people have a physical type and some people have an emotional type?
Oh.
Because I don't have a physical type, but I do have an emotional type. Even just weird. I realized after a couple years of being married, I realized that every guy I've ever dated, including my husband, had asthma or chronic bronchitis. They all had an inhaler. I know, but I remember being in the 3rd grade and there was this little boy I had a crush on and we were in the coat room together and I was aggressive and I was like, give me a kiss. And he was like, no. And he used the inhaler and I kissed him and I tasted. I tasted the inhaler and I think that got in my
Wow.
But I think some people have they like comedians or they like a rocker.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They have that.
They have a thing, right?
Yeah. They got a thing for that.
I'll be at the hospital looking for a surgeon and you'll be there waiting for the asthma patient to come out.
Yeah. That's how you go and date fine guys. I don't necessarily have a type, I say I like Indian girls, but I think I like them more than the average Chinese guy. But I have a non thing where there's a like I'll be absolutely turned off by this type of women where okay, I'll tell you a story. So I was in meeting up with a friend, and then he saw an old friend of his who is a ex-model, right? She's really hot. So we sat down, she came over, we sat down, we chatted. And then she started going into astrology, feng shui, psychics, crystal healing. And I immediately went, no. It's like she might as well have just taken out a needle and start shooting heroin right there. And I thought, nah, this is not for me. Immediately, like all the psychics, crystal healings, chakras, whatever. I just can't get with that.
I don't think I could have dated someone shorter than me.
That's honest.
Fuck you, Felicia.
That's honest. No, that's honest. That's honest. I had a crush on a boy in boarding school, and he was hot, but he was so freaking small. And I'm he was a fucking gherkin. He was totally small. And I'll never forget, one of my friends was like, I told her, this is what she shames me. You ever tell somebody something like you confide in them, and then you immediately by their reaction, you wish you never said shit. You know what I mean? I was like, I think so-and-so's hot. They were like, what the fuck? He's like a munchkin, bitch. And I was like,
especially
I was like, I don't think he's that hot. He's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
especially because I like to wear high heels because then you really tower over them.
Oh, I was just wondering, Jason had reasons for being more into Indian girls than other races.
Oh, well, I think Indian girls is purely physical, but I think they're more curvy. That's it.
Like curvy women, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Chinese women.
I firmly believe, and I say this to my daughters, and I'm curious how this is going to work with all the dating apps because I really believe in pheromones. I believe there's just something that people emit that will, because sometimes the attraction's just inexplicable. Or someone has something that you just can't see in a picture or a description. And I always try to tell my daughter, don't swipe left so quickly. You never know.
Smell them.
Yeah, they have to put smell through the phone. Then
invent that app, Felicia.
But yeah, you need to meet them.
And smell go.
I mean, Jocelyn, did you ever meet someone and it's like so not your type, but there was that inexplicable attraction?
I've had that with a recent guy who was not my type at all, but it was more his personality and how nice he was to me that got me liking him.
Mhm.
Oh.
I have to admit, I have never been attracted to a guy that's not funny. And there are guys that I've seen that have been really hot, and I started talking to, oh my God. I just remember I went on this date before I got married, and this dude, he was really hot. We went to go see the Baz Luhrmann, Romeo and Juliet from like the 90s, right?
Mhm.
And I'll never forget, we were in a movie theater, and we were like, people were said some joke behind us, and he didn't get it. And it was like a joke that was like pretty easy, and he didn't get it. And then I was trying to explain it to him, and I was like, holy fuck balls. I remember thinking, these panties are never coming off, right? And then we look at the screen, and then he said, and then like, okay, no sense of humor, but then he was dumb. He was like, oh damn, it's all in Shakespeare's speech. And I was like,
I can't date a
and
dumb
to me,
guy.
no sense of humor, stupid, never happening. I don't care how good you look. You are now just a statue to look at. Like there's no heat coming, no heat coming, no heat going.
And too slick. Sometimes people go for like the too slick guy who's always like the type of guy that's gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? It's funny. Someone told me one time, I couldn't get it. They said, I don't like when people talk too fast. I don't trust them. And I was like, at first, I was like, you sound kind of dumb. Because like, I'm from New Jersey, and it's like, we talk, people on the East Coast talk fast. But then I realized there is a thing about people talking too fast. Do you know what I mean? Like they're trying to slick you. And so I get what you're saying.
Guy who we were on vacation in Bangkok, just as friends. We were both gigging in Bangkok, and we're watching the sunset. And he goes, "Do you know how sunsets work? Like how the color gets that way?" I said, "No," and he explained it in this like scientific manner about the dispersion of the light particles and the refractory angle. And I was like, "Okay, my panties are dropping right now in public.
Oh, you liked that?
I love that.
No, honey, a smart man who can break it down. That is very impressive.
Okay, so just so we know, just so we can wrap this up, the date killers for me was height, for Holly was humor, for Jason was a holistic behavior. What was the dropper? What's it for you, Jocelyn? What's the date dropper for you? What's your deal killer, Jocelyn?
Can't deal a dumb guy who makes less than $20 a month.
Okay.
That's a lot in New York, though. That's a lot in New York. I'm just saying.
Welcome.
That's a lot of comedians. That's a lot of comedians, Jocelyn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of comedians.
Can't date any comedians. Okay, guys, that was a great rendition of the dating game. Welcome to BROADish. That was a lot of fun. I'm Felicia Madison.
I'm Hollie Harper.
I'm Jocelyn Chia.
And
our
I'm a
guest.
scientifically minded person, Jason Leong.
Thank you, guys. That was a lot of fun.